The story begins in the Silver Dragon dungeon. Suddenly, footsteps wrapped in energy echoed through the dark corridor. The guards turned. How he dared to be so rude. Mockingly, the woman told Leon Cosmode that his reputation as a hero was now worthless. With a smile, she even called him performance he put on. Shortly after, the provocative woman suggests bringing him there every month to visit her hometown. Irritated, the warrior stands up, accuses her of being a dragon queen obsessed with draining his power. Therefore, the young woman prepares to leave, claiming that her daughter is waiting for her back home. However, he interrupts her, asking her to wait, which intrigues her. He then declares that as a dragon hunter, he refuses to be carried like prey and will continue on alone. Even if the journey takes more than 10 days, she warns him, but he insists that she shouldn't underestimate human endurance. With a defiant smile, the other party retorts that she wants to see how long he can last. After some time, the young man continues through the forest with great difficulty. However, he soon stops, panting and completely exhausted from the long journey. The follower catches up to him and asks if he needs help, but he denies being tired, but she teases him, saying his stubbornness is the only hard thing about him, which irritates him. They both stare at each other for a moment amidst the palpable tension in the air. Suddenly, the young man spots an army of dragon hunters approaching through the trees. Because of this, he is encouraged to imagine that the knights might help him escape from the dragon. However, beside him, the creature's expression turns cold and menacing. He immediately understands that if he asks for help, everyone there will be killed without hesitation. At that instant, one of the knights raises his hand, signaling an ignorant loser. He claimed he would die there. Leon then retorted that she had stolen the chance for him to leave a legacy to his comrades. Group to halt. Shortly after, the squad leader turns to the pair and asks if they are lost. With a forced smile, the young man answers, they were simply strolling, determined not to involve any innocent bystanders. The knight then warns them about the dangers of the forest and offers to escort them to ensure their safety. Shortly after, he introduces himself as Walker, captain of the 47th Squadron of the Dragon Hunter Army, thanking them for their cooperation. The other man rejects his kindness, claiming that they are capable of protecting themselves, and attempts to lead them away. Growing distrustful, the captain comments that the young man's face seems familiar to him and asks if they have met before. This simple question causes the dragon's eyes to fill with fury. Then, he senses the imminent danger when he sees her hand begin to glow with energy. In a swift movement, her companion grabs her hand, preventing any potential attack. To conceal their intentions, he quickly pulls her into a hug, and claims that the Lord must have mistaken him for someone else. He adds that he has a common face while whispering to her to let him handle things. The leader observes the scene as the woman appears to accept the proposal. With a laugh, the captain bids them farewell, saying he won't interrupt their romance any further. As soon as the troop moves away, they both watch the carriage continue down the dark road. With an angry look, the dragon asks if he has embraced her sufficiently already. She immediately pushes him forcefully, causing him to stumble backward. Despite this, she admits that the young man was clever not to call for help, but she warns him about something important: descendants. Despite this, the queen found the hypothesis intriguing, but assured him that he would have no successor whatsoever. With determination, the warrior, she reprimands him, demanding he know his place, and makes it clear that she never considered him to be his wife. Shortly after, she warns him that the road ahead is long, and suddenly begins to walk away. He feels a sharp pain and clutches his arm, his vision blurring. Blurry, he tries to get closer to her even as she walks away from him. Shortly after, his body gives out and he faints in the middle of the forest. Seeing him collapsed, the woman asks, surprised, if he really lost consciousness. Disdainfully, she calls him a fragile human and releases her powerful aura. After that, she lifts him from the ground to take him back. Transformed into a dragon, she throws him towards the sky and gently catches him in her mouth. Then, he rests unconscious, on her back as they cross the skies. As she flies under the starry sky, she decides to interpret his fainting as a plea: mercy. At dawn, the scene returns to the majestic Silver Dragon Castle. Inside the castle, the warrior finally awakens in a comfortable bed. Next to him, the little girl celebrates excitedly, seeing her father awake and confused. He asks how he got back there, and the girl replies that Mom brought him back. With that, he remembers being captured by the queen, feeling like prey. Immediately, his attention is drawn to a bandage on his hand, wounded with pride. The girl reveals that she was the one who put the bandage on Daddy. As he watches her, he reflects on how dragons are a race. He shouted not to underestimate humans. In response, her tail coiled tightly around his neck. Immediately afterward, the silver-haired woman lifted him, fierce and violent. Even so, he notices that the girl doesn't show hostility and treats him like a father, perhaps because she is a hybrid. With a smile, she strokes her head and tells her how incredibly happy she makes him. Shortly after, he advises her not to become like her mother when she grows up, which confuses her. Confused, unexpectedly, Rosge herself appears in the doorway and asks what's wrong with resembling her. Taken by surprise, he denies having said anything as the woman approaches carrying a tray. The daughter then proudly tells her mother that she bandaged Dad's wound, following your instructions. Without much emotion, the dragon woman comments that she should have done it herself anyway. The girl answers obediently, while the father thinks how strict his mother is. To speak privately, he suggests that the little girl hide in the garden to play. With that, the girl is filled with joyful at the idea of playing hide-and-seek with her dad. She is immediately hurried along, as he tells her she isn't like her mother and needs to hurry. While he starts as he counts, Moen excitedly runs off, begging him not to count so fast. The man continues counting while watching his daughter run down the hallway. Shortly after, he turns abruptly to get the queen's attention. Irritated, he asks if she isn't being too hard on the child. In response, the woman explains that dragons need to be strict in order to raise strong warriors. He argues that his daughter is gentle, but she retorts that gentle is into the air with her tail, calling him stubborn. The young man struggled to breathe, clutching at the tail that was suffocating him. Nearly breathless, he still managed to call out to Her Majesty, a derogatory term for a dragon. With a smile, the young man praises the queen, saying that she can also be quite tender when she wants to be. The unexpected comment visibly upsets her. Enraged, she forcefully grabs his shirt and screams that he is nothing more than a slave to vent on, and orders him to stop throwing himself at her. The explosive reaction leaves him completely speechless. Rosge is informed that as a queen, she has duties, and the task of taking care of the girl will be hers. With a hug, she calms him down, saying that her daughter loves him very much. Immediately, the scene shifts to a beautiful garden within the castle. While walking through the garden, he ironically comments about the idea of being a babysitter for a little girl. Suddenly, an unexpected sound unexpectedly catches his attention from the other side. Then he sees her hiding behind a pillar, believing she is smarter than him. With a smile, he points and shouts that, "Found her." The girl, however, remains motionless, showing no reaction, which makes him observe her more closely. Then, the man perceives an expression of anger on the little girl's face and wonders what the reason is. Uncomfortable, he tries to apologize for having kept her waiting. Unexpectedly, the girl turns around and starts running, leaving him confused. Immediately, he shouts, asking why she is running away. Confused, he wonders where she went, since he saw her pass by just a moment ago, and concludes that it is very difficult to predict a girl's mood. Then he understands why the queen left him the task of. With a smile, the creature asked if he was finally ready to beg for mercy. Still choking, Leon revealed that she had made two, taking care of her. Suddenly, Moen jumps on his back and happily celebrates that she caught Dad. Surprised, he asks her if she hadn't just run past him for him recently. With that, the little girl explains that she went out to look for him because Daddy couldn't find him. Hearing this explanation, he wonders if then he misread the situation. Just then, Menon calls him over to show him something, and he follows her, confused. Observing the scene, the other girl simply watches from a distance, far away. Moments later, the water from the fountain flowed calmly down the garden wall. Meanwhile, Mwen hummed softly as she concentrated on her drawing. Right behind her, her father watched her with a peaceful smile on his face. He thinks that having a daughter isn't so bad, and feels like his soul is being healed. He immediately promises himself that he will help her escape from her dragon mother. Suddenly, the girl runs towards him, showing him the family portrait that he drew. Looking at the drawing, the man is confused to see that there are two girls depicted. Then he asks about the second figure, and she replies, who is his sister. Completely surprised, he hears the revelation that Men has a sister. In his mind, he realizes that he not only hit one target, but two with a single shot. With that, he remembers the girl he saw in the garden and understands the reason for her anger. But the little girl explains that her sister isn't angry, she just got shy when she saw him. He reflects that it's normal that they aren't familiar with him, since they have only just met. Thus, he concludes that the fault mistakes from the very beginning. Surprised, she heard that her first mistake was being alone with the dragon slayer. Then, he prepared to, lies with that woman, and he decides that he needs to confront her. Far away from there, in her office, the queen was working at her desk. Then, she looked up, reading with a serious expression on her face. Just then, the man burst into the room, loudly calling out her name. Remaining unruffled, she calmly asked where Wen was. He responded that his daughter had gone to play with her sister and questioned when she was planning to tell him that he had another daughter. With a slight smile, the dragoness asked if he already knew about it. Shortly after, he thanked her for giving him 2 daughters, saying that she certainly had worked hard to raise them. He immediately promised that he would write her name in the family's genealogical tree, which visibly upset her. The queen then questioned him if he knew the reason why she hadn't told him about their other daughter. He accused her of being jealous of his relationship with Noah and of hiding Noah from him. Purpose. Surprised, the woman asked if he truly wanted to meet her that much. The warrior replied that he wanted to build a good relationship with her daughters, unlike their cold mother. With a defiant smile, the sovereign warned him only not to regret it later. Later, the light of the sun streamed through the kitchen windows. Then, he appeared holding a knife with a determined smile on his face. While cutting vegetables, he decided to win over his shy daughter with a delicious meal, all to make the queen regret her words. He remembered preparing that stew frequently reveal the second mistake he should never have made. Leon then shouted that his second mistake was tasting her blood. Immediately, the queen realized the battalion, since its sweet flavor was ideal for children. After tasting it, he proudly confirmed that his culinary skills had not oxidized. In that instant, he imagined that Anno would love the food and felt confident that its flavor would win his daughter over. Outside, 2 maids curiously observed the kitchen scene. They commented that the prince was a good dragon for cooking for his family, even after recovering from an illness. Suddenly, both maids were surprised to see Rosge arriving with her 2 daughters. The queen then excused the maids from dinner, telling them they could go and rest. As soon as they arrived in the dining room, he greeted her, saying they had arrived just in time. Men ran to his father, praising the wonderful smell, and he told them that he had prepared stew and steak especially for them. Looking at her affectionately, he wondered if Noah could feel expressing his feelings through food. However, the girl simply turned her face away with disdain, leaving him utterly frustrated. Wondering why everything was so different from what he had imagined it would be, he then mentally accused Rosge, convinced that she had foreseen the situation, and that was why she had prevented him from meeting Noah before. Firmly, the woman instructed her daughter to formally introduce herself to her father. The girl then introduced herself as Noah Melkby, daughter of the Silver Dragon Queen Rosge. Attempting to bridge the gap, the warrior politely introduced himself as Leon Cosmode, that she had fallen victim to the blood curse. With that, his tail released him, and Leon was finally free on the ground. As he backed away, his opponent, her father. The girl's response, however, was one of complete indifference, which made him uncomfortable. He wondered if the girl held some kind of grudge against him. Realizing the situation, Noah whispered to her sister to speak more so as not to embarrass Dad. With his arms crossed, Noah doubted that he was his father, as he seemed very weak to him. Those words struck him directly, and he felt the full impact of the accusation. Hurt, he thought he had a wild daughter, thus facing his first crisis as a father. The family dinner, which should have been a pleasant occasion, turned into the most tense moment of Leon's life. Although similar in appearance, he observed that his daughters had opposite personalities, with Noah being just like her mother. With a hopeful smile, he asked his eldest daughter if the food he had prepared was good. Noah replied no, complaining that the meat was tough and difficult to chew, which was a harsh blow to him. Seeing the scene, the queen couldn't help but let out a soft giggle. When asked why she was happy, the woman replied that it was because she was seeing her family reunited. Soon after, she teased her companion, asking if he was happy too, and he nodded awkwardly. Mon then wanted to know if Dad could have dinner with them every day, and he agreed, although inwardly he was somewhat reluctant. But the older sister interrupted the conversation, shouting that she didn't want to. The youngest asked why, and the other explained that she wanted to start studying at the Young Dragons Academy soon. Rosge recalled that, watched him, feeling the effects of the curse. The monarch felt her body suddenly heat up, completely out of control. Then, she fell to her knees. That department was for older dragons and wanted to know why his daughter was in such a hurry. The girl then declared that she wanted to start defeating to the dragon hunters, leaving her father terrified. He soon realized, with amazement, that the girl intended to defeat him, her own father. With that, he tried to warn her that those warriors were strong and that it was dangerous for her. but she retorted that he shouldn't treat her like a child, while he actually thought that she was. The queen agreed with her daughter's idea, saying that the sooner she learned, the faster she could fight. She immediately challenged the man to give a reason to stop her from going to school. Realizing that opposing her would only worsen his image, he decided to change tactics. With that, he resignedly accepted, saying that he had no problem with it. At that moment, he understood what Rosge's true intention was. He imagined himself as a giant monster, realizing that she was using his daughter to launch a mental attack against him. While promising to return his daughter, the woman declared that he would help Noah prepare for the exam in a month's time. Excited, the girl immediately accepted her mother's instructions. As soon as dinner was over, he happily showed his full belly to his sister. After the girls left, he turned to Rosge and called out to her name. Then he said that they needed to wash the dishes, leaving her confused by the request. She replied that the servants would take care of that task. He explained that the correct way to Fromes, terrified as they recognized his majesty. As he approached, he ordered them to withdraw so that he could speak with the prisoner alone. Then, the Silver Dragon Queen, without understanding what was happening to her body, completely confused, she wondered what the hell was going on. Leon then explained that finish a family dinner is for the couple to clean everything up together. Whispering, he asked her if she didn't want to create a harmonious family environment for their daughters, even if it was a lie. Looking back, Rosge saw the youngest daughter watching them both with a hopeful expression. Seeing the girl's expression, the queen reluctantly agreed to the idea. Hearing the response, he eagerly volunteered to help as well. Then, he firmly took his sister's hand and pulled Moen away, saying that the girl would go with her. With the two of them gone, the kitchen fell silent, leaving only the dirty dishes. Dirty, in the sink. Rosge turned to her partner and asked when he planned to start helping. With a confident smile, he asked if she had forgotten what he told her 2 years ago. He quickly reminded her of his warning to never be alone with a powerful dragon slayer, which made her surprised. The queen grew suspicious and questioned his intentions. He retorted that, unlike before, he wouldn't let her manipulate him. Furious, the woman lashed out with her tail, demanding to know if he thought he could escape. However, he effortlessly blocked the attack with a single hand, and then grabbed her tail, asking who said he wanted to escape. The queen cried out in surprise at the sudden, unexpected touch. The tug caused her to lose her balance, forcing her to fall to her knees, utterly astonished. Immediately, the man revealed that he had read about the weakness of dragons' tails. I would live forever with the pain brought on by the soul. Tears streamed down the dragon's face as the curse intensified. Suddenly, Rosge, asking her with a smile if she was helpless. Shortly after, he approached her, remarking that dragons are always eager to conquer and controlling everything. Finally, he asked her if they themselves had ever been controlled, leaving her completely speechless despite her heavy breathing. Rosge remained completely flushed on the floor. Shortly afterward, he demanded that they release his tail. Seeking revenge, Leon recalled how he had been humiliated earlier, for pleasure, and suggested they try something different, provoking an avalanche of insults from her. The woman quickly reacted, trying to free himself. Meanwhile, two maids wondered if the prince's evening activities were already over, and they immediately went into the kitchen, surprised by the cleanliness and wondering if the prince was responsible. One of them then smiled, delighted by a dish, perfectly clean. Through the crack in the door, the dragon silently observed the conversation. Immediately, he hushed her, warning that the maids couldn't see her in that condition. The employees couldn't see her in that state. Then, the kitchen door closed. The young woman glared at him furiously. He approached, stating that they could begin now. Begin. His gaze was firm and determined. At that, her eyes seemed helpless. 3 days later, in the kingdom's immense castle, feeling curious, Noah asked if her father was dead from sleeping so much, but Noah decided to investigate right then and there. Immediately, a small kick struck the face of the one. She launched herself at Leon, who looked surprised by the force of the impact. She tackled him to the floor of the dungeon. Lying on the ground, Leon asked, "Asleep man," who felt the pain of the impact. Thus, Noah confirmed that he was alive, leaving him shocked by the way they were treating him. He opened his eyes and saw that the youngest girl was startled to realize he was awake. Immediately, the girl ran to inform Rosge, while the man was trying to figure out when he had lost consciousness. The woman simply asked if he really needed her to remind him of what had happened. With that, Leon, he recalled being knocked out with a single blow that night. Sitting on the bed, he thought to himself that any normal person would have died from such a brutal attack. Still, he admitted that she was very beautiful and didn't look as old as she was. The girls then asked what was going on, but Noah said he was just was looking at their mother. Discreetly, Rosge reached for a flower ornament on the vanity with her hand. The sudden movement caused the warrior to turn around towards her. Immediately, he picked up the delicate accessory and, with a calm gesture, placed the ornament in her hair, telling her that it suited her very well. Then she asked him how many women had already heard that same line. The dragon replied that, when he was a child, he only knew how to take care of his uncle's donkey. Curious, she asked her father what a donkey was. He then described it as a big-eared animal that whines, just like her mother. The comparison made, the woman glared at him furiously. Shortly after, she punched him hard in the stomach. The daughters asked if their father was okay, and he, confused about what was happening. As he watched her, he noticed that the situation was arousing her. Without hesitation, the silver dragon leaned down and kissed him forcefully, replied that he was, although he was still in pain. The matriarch then announced that he would teach the daughters how to write, causing him to complain about not having been consulted. Menon celebrated the news, while Noah insisted that she could do it herself. Shortly after, they both rushed to the library to find a pencil, and Noah, he chose the color purple. Alone with the dragon, Rosge was informed that his sister would be visiting and that he was not allowed to see the girls. He then inquired about the reason, questioning whether his family didn't want to meet them. With that, the woman explained that he was now Leon Cosmode, a dragon who had awakened after 2 years. Finally, she ordered him to memorize her last name in case he happened to encounter her. He simply confirmed that he understood Her Majesty's orders. Majesty. As he watched her leave, he wondered if the queen truly believed he would obey her. On the contrary, he decided that he would put her through the greatest humiliation in front of her sister. In the study hall of the Silver Dragon Temple, class was beginning. Then, he demonstrated to his daughters how they should write, asking them to pay close attention. Shortly afterward, he taught them the written names and instructed them to memorize the writing before practicing. Noah, however, complained that her handwriting was ugly, claiming that her mother's was prettier. Menon asked what he intended to do, and the dragon replied that he needed to give something back to their mother. As he departed, he announced that he would return to check their homework, leading Noah to wonder if he was an idiot. Her sister, the unexpected kiss left Leon completely stunned. An hour later, clothes and chains were scattered across the dungeon floor. Commented that he seemed happy, but the little girl with silver hair denied it, admitting that at least he wrote quickly. Still, she couldn't hide a slight. A blush appeared on his face. Meanwhile, at the city gate of the Silver Dragon Temple, an important visitor was arriving. Isabel. Melkby, the queen of the Red Dragons, soon after embraced Rosge, overjoyed to be reunited with her sister after so long. The visitor then commented that they hadn't seen each other in a year and that Rosge looked healthier. With that, she inquired as to why her husband wasn't present, as she had heard that he had woken up. Rosge lied, saying that he wasn't feeling well, and the queen expressed her regret at not being able to meet the dragon who had won her sister's heart. Finally, she teased, suggesting that they must get along very well to have had children so quickly. Rosge denied having any feelings for him, asserting that the marriage was not. It meant nothing significant. Isabel simply remarked that she remained the same proud person she had always been. Afterwards, the hostess suggested they proceed to the garden, to converse as they strolled. In the distance, the two walked together, arm in arm. From a window, the prisoner watched them through a telescope, identifying Rosge's sister. With a resolute gaze, he decided it was time to test the influence of the dragon mark. Meanwhile, Isabel was commenting on the recent instability within the Fire Dragon King's territory. Upon hearing this, Rosge recalled a name, Constantine, as, shortly after, the creature awoke, with the effects of the curse still visible in her eyes. As she sat up, she looked around in confusion, trying to. The image of a fire dragon surfaced in her mind. She inquired if he wasn't missing, but the other woman speculated that he might be attempting to expand his territory. Suddenly, a mark on his chest shone intensely, causing a powerful shock. In that instant, he felt a strange connection forming within him. Isabel. He asked if something had happened, but the warrior concealed it and requested that they continue the conversation. In his mind, he cursed Leon, knowing that he was the cause of Leon. That feeling. Shortly after, he suggested reinforcing the border defenses to prevent any possible eventuality. With that, he felt that the effect of the dragon mark was growing stronger and stronger within his body. The sister noticed that he was breaking out in a cold sweat and asked if he was all right. Rosge then made up an excuse that he had to attend to an important matter and that he would return in 20 minutes. When Isabel offered to accompany her, Rosge declined the offer, saying it wasn't necessary. The queen understood that it was the dragon mark, commenting on how young people these days spend so much time playing. Meanwhile, Leon relaxed in his chair, wanting to see how long Rosge would last. Shortly after, she burst into the room, shouting his name, surprising him with her quick return. She grabbed him and asked if he had intentionally resonated the mark to embarrass her in front of her sister. The man feigned innocence, asking if it was his fault. She missed him. His words left her completely speechless. The sudden comment surprised her and made her blush deeply. Leo noticed that the effect. She was trying to understand what had happened. Furious and disbelieving, she turned sharply towards Leon and screamed, demanding to know what he had done to her. Leon, then, was positive, since he had at least managed to provoke some reaction from her. Rosgate scolded him, telling him that a prisoner shouldn't be so brazen and that he should keep his. He thought to himself, inwardly admitting that he had been deceived by her words when she was planning to strike him. Then, he warned her to. She was spared this time, but the dragon only provoked her further by grimacing. Reflecting on the situation, he noticed that with just a single sentence, he had left the woman speechless, demonstrating the power of the dragon mark. However, he wondered why his heart beat faster each time he thought of her. Immediately, he reprimanded himself, ordering himself to stop thinking about such horrible things. Then, he remembered that the girls were waiting for him, while men wondered why he wasn't returning. At the city gate of the Temple of the Silver Dragons, Rosge's sister waved goodbye, announcing that she was already departing. Then Rosge smiles and asks her sister to be careful on her way. Already in her dragon form, the visitor insists on meeting her sister's husband. Rosge promises to introduce him to her next time. Shortly after, she takes off, flying through the night sky. The Silver Queen watches her leave with a serious expression. She then angrily thinks that she will teach the Dragon Slayer a good lesson. Meanwhile, elsewhere, Leon sneezes, suddenly while reading a book, and wonders if the dragon woman is talking about him behind his back. At that moment, he realizes that Noah has fallen asleep in bed. He explained that the blood curse creates a soul connection, and upon his death, she would experience unending pain. The sovereign called his explanation absurd, adjusts the blanket over them so they don't get cold. Then, he silently leaves the room so as not to wake them. As he's trying to leave, a hand bumps into the door forcefully slammed in front of him. Rosge is prevented from leaving, and he irritably asks if his sister has left yet. She reminds him that they still have unfinished business for today. The sovereign forcibly drags him down the hallway, ignoring his desperate protests. Soon, they arrive at the luxurious room of the Queen of the Silver Dragons. Then, they place a wooden basin filled with hot water on the ground. Leon brings the water and asks what she needs it for. She replies that she is tired and orders him to help her wash her feet. The unexpected order leaves him completely surprised. Still, she insists for him to obey, stating that it is a punishment for what happened earlier. Resigned, the former hunter kneels, feeling humiliated to be serving a dragoness. As he holds the woman's foot, he thinks about how many hunters she must have trampled. Rosge is confused and wonders why he is just standing there alone, admiring her feet. With that thought, she blushes, questioning if he might have a foot fetish. Impatient, she demands that he put her foot in the water already. Then, the feet are immersed in the basin of hot water. Suddenly, the queen screams that the water is too hot and kicks him in the face. With the denhim impact, Leon is thrown backward. She accuses him of trying to get revenge by making the water too hot. With a provocative smile, he reminds her that it was, questioning what would happen if the effect only manifested after his death. At that, the prisoner admitted that what had happened was an accident, as he did not. She who asked for his help to wash her feet. Rosge states that he appears not to have learned his lesson. With her foot on his chest, she asks if he ever thought that he would be trampled by a dragon. Then he wonders what would happen if he pressed a specific pressure point. The strong pressure causes him to react with a wince of pain and annoyance. Leon asks her to stop, while feeling a strange mix of shame and pleasure. With that, the dragoness challenges him, wanting to see how long he can endure. Even so, he decides that he will not surrender to that woman's tyranny. In one swift movement, he firmly grabs her foot. Leon comments that he has eaten many kinds of legs, but never a dragon's leg. The threat leaves Rosge shocked and unsure of what to do next. Shortly after, he bites her leg, declaring that he will eat raw dragon claws. An angry scream echoes through the castle as the queen vows to kill Leon Cosmode. The next day, Moen wakes up still drowsy in bed. Curious, she asks her mother why she's limping, but Rosge simply replies that it's nothing. Then she asks Leon about the bandage on his face, receiving the same evasive answer. The girl's expression becomes confused by the responses. With that, she cheerfully concludes that it's a funny joke and wants to participate as well. In the garden surrounding the Silver Dragon Castle, Leon and Rosge walk silently ahead. The woman maintains an irritated expression as he accompanies her closely. From a distance, two maids observe them, thinking, expect that particular side effect. Immediately, she furiously screamed at him to shut up. Still, with a smile, Leon questioned whether dragons didn't still follow, that the scene resembles a romantic date. However, one of them finds it strange that the queen and the prince don't seem close. Rosge continues her. I walk without saying a word. The man also seems uncomfortable with the situation, so he breaks the silence and asks why they are taking this walk. Moments before, he had refused to go on a walk with her. The dragoness then explains that they must maintain a harmonious family facade for the people. Harmonious for the people. Back in the present, he thinks she's acting strangely and wonders what she's up to. Hidden nearby, Noen. He comments that his father is so slow that he doesn't even know how to hold his mother's hand properly. Determined, she decides to help, even though her brother tries to stop her, and without hesitation, she runs towards them while her sister asks him to leave them alone. Suddenly, the little girl appears behind the couple, and Leon asks in surprise how she got there. Okay, so he takes each of their hands and puts them together. Then, he explains that holding hands is necessary for taking a walk. With that, he warns her that he's going to play with his sister and runs off, leaving his father deep in thought. Meanwhile, Noah scolds the crying little girl, who demands to be released. Leon remarks that the situation is unexpected, but Rosge insists that they continue holding hands. Secretly watching, the girls find the couple is too sweet, and they don't believe that the mother is the one who can't adapt. The man then reflects that he didn't expect holding hands to affect Rosge so much, and he thinks that Rosge revealed her confident face. Next, she asked the great hero how he felt about becoming a prisoner of the Dragon Clan, the rule of monogamy. He then revealed that she would be unable to have another mate or any descendants, as the spell had exceeded even his expectations. She doesn't know how to get closer to the girls. He then mentions that sometimes they call her mother, and Rosge wonders if there's a problem with that. He explains that the normal thing is to use dad along with mom, and the way they say it sounds distant. The silver-haired girl is confused, wondering if there really is such a big difference between the terms. With a smile, the hunter suggests that they try to get the girls to call her mom, so they feel closer to her. The suggestion leaves. Rosge is completely surprised and without a reaction. She then decides that they will try that from now on, and he complains that they are pulling him to make him walk faster. As they walk, Rosge wonders if he misses his home, saying that she has something to alleviate his homesickness. Then she takes him to a warehouse located behind the castle mountain. Leon asks what this place is, and she replies that she hasn't named it. While opening the door, he says you can call it a warehouse or a back room, but as soon as the door opens, he declares that the name doesn't matter. Upon entering, Leon is immediately impressed with the place and asks if it's a warehouse full of dragon treasures. She then notices a bracelet her grandmother gave her, remarking that it would be worth a fortune in the empire. Rosge explains that some objects are meaningful to her, while others are simply war trophies she's collected. Afterwards, he inquires about her family, and the silver-haired woman reveals that she and her sister were raised by their grandmother. Leon replies that he also grew up in an orphanage and was later adopted by his master. Curious, he then provoked her by reminding her that, just like him, she too would have no successor. Filled with anger, the queen called him a wretch, as energy crackled around her, asks what she truly wanted to show him there. The woman approaches a trunk, stating that the contents inside will help him forget his worries. Opening the trunk, Leon is shocked to see his black and gold armor. Trosus then asks him if he didn't always want to recover that armor. Incredulous, he asks if he's dreaming and if she's really going to return it to him. With a malicious smile, she confirms that she is. But the moment he touches the armor, a seal of magical runes glows intensely. Leon perceives the runes and laments that his old friend has fallen so low. With a victorious air, Rosge reveals that he has finally fallen into her trap. As the energy enveloped him, Leon asked irritably what Rosge had done. With a smile, she revealed that she placed a dragon mark on the armor, set to be activated by his touch. Then, the prisoner's hand twitched as the effect began to take hold. He clutched at his chest, regretting having trusted that dragon. With a satisfied smile, the queen commented that the mark's effect would double shortly after. Then, she held his chin and teased him, asking if he could endure it. With difficulty, the warrior gritted his teeth as he attempted to pronounce her name. With that, he was pushed backward, completely losing his balance. Immobilized on the ground, he felt an intense urgency take over his body. Rosge revealed that he had been looking for ways to make him lower his guard, as she hadn't expected him to fall. Calmly, he asked if she wanted to kill him, stating that it wasn't necessary, because he himself would die soon anyway. Finally, Leon declared. So easily. Surprised and speechless, Leon could only stare at her with a blushing face. With a victorious air, she asked if her performance had been good, he inquired in Cecilia, and holding her hand was a lie, he said. As he got closer, Rosge insisted that everything was true, but that it didn't alter his plans for him. Finally, she touched her own body, reminding him of what he himself had stated previously. The silver-haired woman reminded him that he had said that she liked being in charge. With a smile, she confirmed that she truly enjoyed always being in control. Then, she asked if her beloved husband was ready before kissing him, which made him curse. The large warehouse doors slammed shut, sealing the dragon slayer's fate. After several hours, he cried out, in relief, thinking that it was finally over. Lying next to him, Rosge watched him with a satisfied expression. Annoyed, Leon. He asked what he wanted now. Holding his chin, she commented that his scars had faded, and that he carried himself with a more mature air. The prisoner protested, irritated. He stated that he wouldn't fall into her trap again. As he dressed, the woman admitted with a smile that he had also become more cunning. However, she paused, which left Leon worried. With a mischievous smile, she added that his body had deteriorated significantly. Confused, he could only ask what she meant by that. The statement that his body had deteriorated greatly left him completely in shock. The repetition of the phrase, that her curse was that she would live with hatred and pain forever. The draconian remained silent, dressing as she processed the paralyzed him in complete despair. The humiliation continued, as the queen's words echoed in the prisoner's mind. The next day, a new dawn broke over the immense castle. Looking exhausted, Leon opened the door and asked who was there. On the other side, Rosge greeted him with a good morning, while Noah waited in silence. With a provocative smile, she commented that he looked like he hadn't slept well. Leon, he asked whose fault it was, but the woman pretended not to remember anything. Observing the scene, the girl just thought that they had already started arguing. Again, Rosge informed him that he needed to tutor Noah for the academy's rigorous test. Then she provoked him, saying that after yesterday, he could only prove his worth in other areas. Enraged, Leon protested that he had simply been indisposed the night before. He then assured her that he would make Noah pass the test, but he demanded something in return. The silver-haired woman accepted the proposal, but only on the condition that his request was not excessive. With a determined look, the dragon accepted the proposal, thus sealing the deal. Rosgate wished them both well in their studies and asked that he not overexert himself, leaving him irritated. She didn't ask why he was arguing with his mother, and Leon responded that it was just his way of speaking. Surprised, he asked the girl how she had just called Rosge so innocently. The girl just repeated the word mom, holding her book. Then she asked if he preferred to call her that, and Noah sheepishly confirmed that he did. Situation. Then, she questioned how a human could take such despicable revenge and still desire death. With his hand glowing with power, she called him a yes. With a satisfied smile, Leon celebrated having guessed that she would like it. Faced with his reaction, the little girl remained silent, looking a little ashamed. Shortly after, he said it was time to study, and began walking, prompting his father to ask him to slow down, even though they were in the walk. In the study room of the Silver Dragon Castle, two small creatures were seen nearby. The young man was focused on his studies. However, the Valkyrie approaches and asks why he hasn't gone to sleep yet, since simple classes are useless to Noah. He explains that he is preparing a special curriculum for her. Thus, he states that he is sure that the girl will pass the exam with only 1 month of studying. In this way, the woman replies, convinced that the girl inherited that trait from her, but he looks at her with a smile and says that he doubts it very much. Then, he boasts about having graduated, like a genius, and for having won all the school's accolades. Furthermore, he asks what awards the queen has received, leaving her speechless. Even so, surprised, the warrior reflects, as she hadn't imagined him to be so intelligent, in addition to being strong. However, she provokes him by questioning how he became her prisoner, causing the young man to shout that he has only lost once. While he laments his error, the blonde mocks him, saying that the queen trampled him. Then he notices a plate of peppers on the table. Curious, she asks what he intends to use them for. Therefore, the young man replies that he brought them from fake, incredulous at his attitude. Immediately after, she plunged magical energy directly into his chest. Leon Cosmode was once a legendary hero and hunter, the kitchen to stay awake. However, she warns him that those are yellow peppers from the Dragon Clan and that he won't be able to handle them. Even so, he eats the pepper, and his reaction is immediate. He quickly shouts that it is incredibly spicy. With his mouth on fire, he desperately begins searching for water throughout the room. Then, the woman takes his face in her hands to try and calm him down. He is immediately surprised and rendered speechless by the unexpected touch. Feeling a little embarrassed, she explains that she thought her cold hands would make him feel better. With that, the young man notices that the tips of her fingers are cool and pleasant. Feeling the touch, he perceives that the coolness is very soothing. He then thanks her, saying that he already feels better, and she walks away. After that moment, both are visibly ashamed. Finally, the Valkyrie orders him to go to bed, warning him not to eat any more peppers. As he watches her leave, he thinks that, for a moment, he wished she would touch his face more, but he quickly became irritated, remembering how that evil dragon had tricked him. Still, he returns to his books. Determined to find a way to recover, he flips through a book, discarding information on the red dragon fruit and Lian herb until his eyes land on a page describing the dragon big force. Smiling, he realizes he has finally found what he needs. The next day, he informs the girl that her practice test has already been graded, and she risks an attempt with 50 points. With a smile, he reveals her score of 62 points. Of dragons. At just 5 years old, he killed a ferocious dog and became the apprentice of a dragon hunter who happened to be passing by. At the age of 10, he entered the Appentine, little more than he expected. Despite this, the little girl clenches her fists, visibly dissatisfied, because the young man understands that she has high expectations she has for herself. Still reflecting, he notices that, unlike men, the girl chose to study instead of playing. To cheer her up, he gently strokes her head and tells her that 62 points is a very good score. She thanks him and says that they should now focus on the incorrect answers. Then he has a coughing fit, apologizing and explaining that his throat is irritated from the peppers he ate yesterday. Meanwhile, the blonde appears before Noah and tells him that her father worked all night. She reveals that, to stay awake, he ate some super spicy yellow peppers. Then, the girl surprises him by holding out a small container and telling him to take it. Surprised, he asks if it's for him, and the young woman confirms, clarifying that it was the mother who sent this. With a smile, he asks them to thank the mother on his behalf, wondering how such a kind woman exists. Then, he cheerfully suggests that they continue studying, which will bring the father and daughter closer together. Sometime later, in the kitchen of the Silver Dragon Castle, everything is prepared. Soon, 2 maids enter, carrying all the requested ingredients, and the young man tells them to leave the items there. Meanwhile, he thinks to himself that he requested irrelevant items so they wouldn't guess his plan. Furthermore, he reflects that despite the common ingredients, the potion's success rate is very plants. Imperial Academy, graduating as the youngest student ever and with the highest grade in its history. By the age of 15, he was already on the battlefield, killing dragons, and, first, he starts the process by grinding and mixing all the necessary components, then he adds them to a cooking pot in the correct order. Hours. He later becomes frustrated when he realizes he has failed yet again. He still regrets following the book's method repeatedly, only to fail at the purification step every time. The high-temperature separation method described easily nullifies the drug. Therefore, he concludes that he needs a more effective way, more effective at separating medicinal residues. At that moment, lightning flashes across the sky outside. Sitting in a chair, he looks out the window, and he comments that it will rain soon. However, looking at the flash again, he has a sudden idea. He remembers his alchemy professor saying that electrolysis is sometimes more successful than fire. Encouraged, he decides to try distilling using his magic, but he doubts its effectiveness with the little power he currently possesses. Recovered, he still claims to have enough control to use his magic with precision. Half an hour later, he holds up a small pill and celebrates its success. With a satisfied smile, he concludes that preparing dragon remedies was simple. Suddenly, his daughter appears and asks, "What are you doing, Papa?" He immediately freezes for a moment, surprised by her presence and frightened, and shouts her name upon noticing her. He tries to hide it, but the little one asks if Daddy is hiding a candy. He then explains that it is a remedy for her mother, causing the girl to ask if Rosge is reconquering territories for the Empire. Thus, he became the strongest dragon, hunter, hero, and the only hope for victory. But everything, sick. With that, he reassures her that it's just to help her recover from fatigue, even though he made it for himself. Mon then animatedly asks, "May your dad take good care of Mom." Eliante, thinking that his father will definitely take care of her when she fully recovers, sees that in the meantime, a strong storm is brewing. About the castle. Back in his room, the alchemist wonders about the side effects of the supplement on humans, and because of this, he decides to put it aside for now. Frustrated with the situation, at that moment, a noise at the door draws his attention. Surprised, he asks His Majesty what he is doing in his room. The visitor reveals that he heard from his daughter that he prepared a special medicine for her health. Embarrassed, he wonders how his little dragoness gossiped so quickly. She then calms him, saying she's surprised he can make potions in such a simple environment. Then, she asks to see what he has prepared. Thus, he hands her the box, assuming she would take it regardless. After opening the container, the woman praises him for crafting the Dragon Force with perfection under such harsh conditions. He is taken aback by the praise and wonders if she is being serious. Rosge tells him that he can keep the remedy, but warns him not to consume it immediately. In desperation, the young man asks her the reason for the prohibition. Then she explains that the effect is too strong for a human body, which makes him question just how powerful the remedy is. The queen states that she is saying this for his own benefit, because changed when he was taken prisoner by the Dragon Clan, and 2 years had already passed since his capture. Suddenly, he woke up screaming as if emerging from a human would not be able to withstand the effects. Outraged, he declares that he has already defeated countless dragons and accuses her of underestimating him. Completely ignoring the warning, he puts the pill in his mouth. Then, he declares that courage is the anthem of humans, while Rosge desperately screams his name. In that instant, he feels the power of the pill coursing through his body. Thus, the warrior runs towards him and reprimands him, warning that she is not good at healing magic. Then, she holds him and says that she will try to undo the effect of the remedy first, even if it causes him pain. He struggles, as she yells at him not to move. With his body crackling with energy, he faces the Valkyrie and declares that this is human courage. In the rain, a large amount of energy accumulates around the palace. Suddenly, the young man screams as blue rays completely envelop his body. Frightened, the queen wonders what he is doing, uses lightning magic on himself. Still, he endures the pain as the electrical energy continues to flow through him. Shortly after, he loses consciousness, and she holds him before he falls onto the bed. With the young man now lying down, Rosge wonders if he has gone completely crazy. Then, she turns around, saying that she will wait and call the palace doctor. However, her hand is grabbed before she can walk away. The Valkyrie looks back, surprised by the sudden gesture. In an instant, he grabs her tail with a dazed and irritated smile. With a happy expression, he demands to know what she thinks she's doing. In response, the chained prisoner simply asked her to kill him. However, the monarch found the request curious. Long nightmare. As he tried to catch his breath, he looked around, completely disoriented. With a hand on his chest, he was still trying. Calls her wife and asks where she thinks she's going. Completely shocked, she asks who he's calling, that while demanding that he let her go. He refuses to let his wife leave. Seeing him so insistent, the warrior wonders if the lightning magic caused mental confusion as a side effect, and concludes, although he acts like an idiot, doesn't seem to be in any real danger. With the other's continued insistence, she finally gives in and asks what he wants so badly. The alchemist responds with a smile, saying that he wants to have another child with his wife. The unexpected declaration leaves her speechless and visibly embarrassed. Although she scolds him for not taking care of the children they already have, he insists that he wants a third. To avoid any more trouble, she decides that it is best to continue playing along for now. So, Rosge agrees to have more children and even visit his homeland when they are ready. While he celebrates, she thinks that acting spoiled is even more unbearable than usual. Then, the bold man calls her my wife and moves in to kiss her. The queen pushes him away, telling him not to take advantage while she wonders when the effects of the remedy will wear off. Shortly after, she calls him an idiot and punches him in the face. After knocking him out and leaving him on the bed, she sighs and admits that she couldn't help but hit him. Worried, she approaches him and asks if he is okay. Suddenly, he wakes up, saying that he feels a little strange. At that moment, The warrior panics as she sees a dark mark appear on his chest. She wonders how the dragon mark on his chest could have been activated now. Understood what he was feeling. Then he realized he was in an unfamiliar, luxurious room, and he wondered where he was. He immediately heard. Then, he firmly grabs her shoulder as he gently pushes her onto the bed. She asks him what he thinks he's doing, but he replies that it feels strange. Shortly after, he describes his body as very hot and his chest as throbbing. The queen then notices that the dragon's mark, along with the lightning, has intensified his craving for life energy. With that, he hugs her by the tail, saying that he loves her, making her think that she won't be able to endure it if the situation continues like this. She pushes him away and yells at him to get off, as his tail is dragging on the ground. Suddenly, the alchemist stops and brings a finger to his lips, changing his tone and telling her that she looks incredibly beautiful tonight. Surprised, she perceives that his attitude has changed to an intensity that won't take no for an answer. At that moment, she starts to wonder if she also unconsciously desires it. In a soft voice, he asks if his wife can help him with after. That's it. Embarrassed, she finally agrees, but warns him that it will only be for that one night. In an instant, they both share an intimate and silent moment, connected, because of the storm raging outside. The next morning, the sun shines brightly on the palace. Leon finally wakes up, feeling the after effects of the previous night. Beside him, Rosge watches him and asks if he's awake yet. Completely startled, he moves away from her and questions what she's doing there. Then he sits up, complaining that his whole body aches. As he tries to understand what happened between them, she asks if he doesn't remember anything at all. With a provocative smile, the sound of the door slowly opening. A little girl with dark hair peeked through the crack in the door and, in a sweet voice, noticed that she shows him the marks on her back, saying that a dragon slayer can't possibly forget something like that. Shocked, he wonders if it really happened. The one responsible for the bites. Suddenly, flashes from the previous night flood his mind. With a complete recollection of the events, Leon, he screams in shame. She then asks if he now remembers how he begged her last night. While he continues to panic, Rosge begins repeating the words that he said. Desperate, the alchemist interrupts her, saying that it isn't necessary to continue because he remembers everything already. He reflects on how he created the elixir to improve her health, but he didn't imagine that the effect would be so exaggerated. Leon admits to going too far and asks if he hurt her, but she assures him that she is fine. With a smile, he claims that now she knows his body well and can no longer say that he doesn't measure up. Rosge just looks at him with a intense expression. Then she approaches him and he asks, "What's wrong?" She holds his chin, praising his good performance and saying that she hopes he continues to do well. Outraged by the comment, Leon asks if he has become her employee now. Changing the subject, she mentions the bet they made regarding the treatments. Then she admits defeat and asks if he has already thought about what he will ask for as his prize. Leon responds with a sly smile, saying that he has already decided what he wants. Afterward, he asks her to send someone to check on his master and his wife in the Empire to see how they are doing. Rosge explains that a visit is possible, leaving him was finally awake. The hero was completely shocked, thinking about how adorable she was. With that, he began to understand everything, concluding that he was deeply grateful for the assistance. Shortly after, he composes himself and offers his thanks more formally. Elsewhere, in the garden of the dragon shrine of Plata approaches and asks if his father is sick. Surprised, Leon denies it and wants to know why she's asking. Men then reveals that her mother, he told her that he was the one who took the medicine and that men aren't allowed to say they are sick. He gets angry, questioning how Rosge could tell those things to a little girl, and reflecting on her dignity. While the little girl insists on knowing if he is still sick, Leon reprimands her and ends up biting his lip, causing it to bleed. Seeing the blood, Men panics and begs him not to die, saying that she can't live without him. Leon calms her down, assuring her that he's okay while thinking that she really reminds him of her mother, especially in her straightforwardness. To distract her, he offers to make her a toy. Nu Yen cheerfully celebrates the idea. With that, Leonard creates a small, colorful cube using his tools. Then, he presents the magic cube and explains that it can rotate the parts however he wants, which excites the girl. Leonard reflects that he never thought he would use his mechanical knowledge to take care of children and wonders if he has a talent for it. Suddenly, his expression changes as he senses something unexpected in the air. He immediately looks carefully in the direction of the garden. Moen asks what it was, but he dismisses it, saying it was nothing. In his thoughts, he remembers feeling the gaze of a dragon for an instant. In heaven, because of his great contribution to humanity, he called her a legendary angel, but the girl, confused, asked him what an angel was, coming from the direction where Noah usually trains. Knowing that she probably doesn't want to approach him, he decides to make a toy for the eldest. Also, later, Noah peeks through the bedroom door while Menon is already asleep. On the table, she finds a magic cube with a note from Leon, challenging her to try and solve the toy. The girl holds the cube, stating that she isn't interested in childish toys, but still, she begins to turn the pieces with curiosity. Shortly after, Noah hugs the gift with a smile and silently thanks her father. Although St. Gede Academy is a school for nobility with rigorous standards for dragons, the student's family is an important evaluation criterion. For that reason, in order to maintain the illusion of a united family, Rosge takes everyone to the floating city. As soon as they arrive at their destination, the woman lands on her majestic dragon form. Then, Leon comes over and says that he will carefully help Moen down. While he is holding her, the girl asks why he doesn't. He also transformed into a dragon as well. At that moment, he thinks, feeling somewhat awkward, that he is excellent at killing dragons, but not at transforming into one. Shortly after, Noah suspiciously asks if he really can't transform. At the question, the man is rendered completely speechless. That's why. Rosge explains that his body has not yet recovered enough to assume dragon form. Moved by this, she asks her father to recover soon, and, with a smile, he approached her and asked the little angel what her name was. The girl enthusiastically responded that her name was Men. It seemed like he promises to try, even though he believes it is impossible. After that moment passes, the family continues on towards the city gates, enchanted by the sight of so many dragons. The girl gets excited, but her sister tells her not to walk so fast. Just then, Leon begins to visibly tremble. Noticing his reaction, Rosge comments that this is the first time he's seen so many dragons since awakening. With a teasing smile, she asks him if he's afraid. However, he denies it, claiming he's actually very excited. His eyes sparkle as he thinks about the street being full of prizes and how he's going to get rich. The woman then realizes she worried for nothing, as he's already calculating his profits. Shortly after, the bell rings at the Kane Place, door of a photography studio. A receptionist greets them, welcoming the Silver Dragon Queen and her family. As soon as they enter, Moen excitedly points out the numerous photos of dragons adorning the wall. Intrigued, Leon inquires why Rosge had to come in person, given that the kings govern their own clans. After listening to the explanation, he provokes her by remarking that her title isn't worth all that much. Irritated, the queen strikes him with the tip of her shoe. As he winces in pain, she asserts that her title is still superior to his. The photographer remarks that it's an honor, and Rosge mentions that he was fortunate to secure an appointment with her. Following this, the woman inquires about the lion's tail, but the companion requests a suit that doesn't accommodate it. Very handsome man, but she wondered why his hair was such an unusual color. Then he explained that his mother said the color of his hair. She recalls a time when he refused to wear tail ornaments, declaring that it would compromise his dignity. Returning to the present, the photographer directs them to try on the way. Ropa and Yen celebrate that they get to wear a pretty dress. Sometime later, the girl and Noah appear wearing their new dresses. Shortly after, Leon appears dressed in an elegant white suit. Delighted, Moen immediately praises her father, saying that he looks very handsome. The photographer comments that the suit fits him well, and the man remembers that the last time he wore one was at his graduation. With a smile, he turns around and asks for Noah's opinion. Embarrassed, the girl admits that he is handsome. Then he praises his daughter's dresses, saying that they look adorable too. At that moment, the fitting room curtain opens, with you inside. When Rosge appears in a black dress, Men exclaims that his mother is beautiful. Upon seeing her, Leon is surprised and completely speechless. When she asks what's wrong, he awkwardly replies that the dress looks great on her. The woman suggests it would look even better with a ponytail, but he immediately rejects the idea. Soon after, the girls call their parents, asking them to come quickly. Hearing this, the photographer announces that it's time for the photo and asks the couple to come closer together. Although somewhat reluctant, they both approach for the photograph. The photographer then asks them to smile and starts the countdown for the photo. Soon, the family photos are revealed, showing everyone posing happily together. While observing the images, meant the moon, which surprised him that angels even had mothers. As he carried her in his arms, he introduced himself as Leon Cosmode, and she professional praises the couple, saying that they really make a good match. Finally, the photographer informs them that the photos will take 6 hours and suggests that the family take the opportunity to stroll around the city. As soon as they step out, everyone bids farewell to the photographer at the studio door. As they walk along, on the street, Moen calls his sister to check out a stall. Surprised, Rosge mentions that they are shopping with her partner, who explains that it's to relax before Noah's exam. Soon, the girls are captivated by the prizes at a game booth. Suddenly, a loud noise nearby startles the couple. The stall owner encourages the girls, saying they'll succeed if they try harder. Observing, Leo notices target shooting games at the stand, and Menon enthusiastically calls him over. After watching Noah fail, he suspects the game is rigged so the owner always makes money. Rosgate then explains that the game is difficult for the girl because it relies on traces of magical energy. Just then, the owner offers the couple a chance to play and win a teddy bear for their daughters. Hearing this, the hunter turns to the girls and asks if they truly want the prize. They both vehemently deny it, forcefully, but he knows that means they do. Without hesitating, he asks the owner for 10 shots, warning him that Rosgeis will be the one paying. Holding the gun, he thanks him and remarks that he hasn't held one since his time at the Hunter Academy. With a swift shot, he hits the target dead center. Meanwhile, the said excitedly that she knew Leon meant lion. He asked who had told her that, and she replied that her mother had told her that as well. With a sudden, stall owner is thinking that he had adjusted the weapon so that it was impossible for anyone to win. To his utter shock, all the targets are hit in rapid succession. Perfect. Leon celebrates his own good luck, while the man murmurs that it's impossible. Menon shouts that her father is incredible, and the classmate admits that he did pretty well. The owner then hands the prize to the winner, who thanks him with a victorious smile. Next, he gives the teddy bears to his daughters, who are excitedly grateful. Rosgate watches the scene and thinks that when he really tries, he has a special charm. Soon, the young man notices his gaze and wonders why she is looking at him like that. Nearby, a little girl asks her mother if she can also win a teddy bear. A little later, Rosgate is surprised to find himself holding a giant bear. Seeing this, Leon laughs at the seller's frustration and, feeling emboldened, asks the boss for another 10 shots at the prize. Despite the warning not to waste his time, he replies that he's there to enjoy himself with his daughters. The hunter then asks if she didn't like it, and the woman, she replies that she didn't want it, but he insists that he can't let her leave empty-handed. Even though she thinks the bears are useless, she admits to herself that they are adorable. Holding a teddy bear, Rosgeis asks him to come to her room after dinner. With this unexpected invitation, Leon is left completely in shock. Later, the castle lights up, setting the stage for their meeting. As he walks down the hallway, he concludes that he has distrust. He cautiously asked who her mother was. The girl happily responded that it was Rosgeis, which left him completely in shock. Upon realizing, been summoned for an intimate encounter. Still, he reflects that if he goes, he'll suffer for one night, but if he doesn't go, the suffering will last all week. Determined, he opts to confront her. He runs towards the room's door. To his surprise, he notices that the door is unlocked. Cautiously, he enters the room and calls out for Rosgeis. Hearing the sound of water coming from the bathroom, he deduces that she is taking a shower. Looking towards the door, he notices that her silhouette is visible through the blind glass. With his heart racing, he convinces himself that they will truly spend the night together. He immediately tries to compose himself in order to control his own anxiety. Shortly after, he peers curiously as the bathroom door opens. Rosgeis then appears dressed in a camisole and invites him to begin. Desperate, Leon realizes that she plans to absorb all of his energy again. Initially, Rosgeis asks Leon if he prefers it to be in the living room or on the balcony. He replies that the balcony would be embarrassing if someone saw them. Hearing this, she agrees to do it in the living room, saying that the place doesn't matter. Then, Leon closes his eyes and takes a deep breath, bracing himself for what's about to happen. He immediately shouts that he's ready to start, and suddenly, launches himself onto the couch, which makes her ask him what he's doing. Lying down, the hunter asks, confused, if that wasn't what she wanted. Rosgeis then teases him, saying that he seems eager, but he'll have to wait for another time. As she sits down, he asks what the scroll she's holding is, and asked if he truly desired a quick death. Then she approached, saying it wouldn't be that easy, since he was such a handsome and determined man. While that the girl's mother was the Dragon Queen, he began to connect the dots about her own identity. With a radiant smile, Moen concluded that he was her. She reveals that it's the Saintus Academy test, used to evaluate a couple's habits and personalities. Then, she explains that they need to match in the answers so as not to affect Noah's evaluation. Leon reads the paper and questions if it isn't just a silly compatibility game for couples. He then asks what her favorite color is, and while Rosge answers black, he replies that his is silver. After that, they both exchange papers. To review the answers, they immediately exclaim, embarrassed, that everything is just a coincidence. The woman then suggests testing how much they know about each other, and he agrees. Shortly after, Leon announces that he has already finished his part of the test. Comparing the results, he boasts that his score is higher than hers. In her thoughts, Rosge is impressed with the details he got right, such as the comfort of her tail. However, she notes, his mistakes stemmed solely from trying to anticipate her thoughts. Consequently, he realizes that making errors is normal, considering she never confides in anyone. Given this, considering the situation, he thinks that perhaps he could open up a bit more to his partner. Meanwhile, he notices she's looking at him and wonders if it's because she's angry or for the grade. To break the silence, he laughs and consoles her, saying it's difficult to get a good grade when they haven't spent much time together. After that, he states that, for Noah's sake, they need to try to get to know each other a little better. Hearing this, Rosge becomes completely embarrassed. She immediately hits him, and, Dad. The revelation left him utterly paralyzed and speechless. Then, the little girl asked if he was truly her father, and her mother's as well, orders him to stop wasting time and write down the correct answers at once. Then, they argue about the answer regarding disappointment, with her hoping that he used his dragon strength again. A week later, Leon celebrates their new average score while Rosge falls asleep on his lap. Satisfied with the results, he says goodbye in order to leave. As he starts to get up, she grabs his clothes and asks him to wait. Then, she invites him to take a bath in her bathtub before he leaves. Leon asks, surprised, if she really wants him to take a bath in her room, without giving him time to think. Rosge pushes him towards the bathroom, ordering him to go immediately. Already in the bathroom, he wonders why she's insisting so much, and if she's plotting something. However, he concludes that she must just be tense because of the test. With that, he decides to simply enjoy the moment and gets into the bathtub. Shortly after, he relaxes in the hot water, reveling in the wonderful sensation. Suddenly, he's startled to see Rosge enter the bathroom, wearing only a towel. She then approaches him, saying that she's accumulated a lot of stress and wants to relieve it. Hearing this, he thinks to himself that he knew this was coming. He then yells at her to find another way to relieve her tension and not take it out on him. With a smile, Rosge responds that transferring her stress to him is the only way for her to relax. As she gets into the bathtub, she provokes him by asking if he didn't come there with the same intention. Faced with the question, Leo is speechless and admits that he has no argument. Rosge before calling out to her. The confirmation struck him head-on, leaving him even more stunned. Soon, the silver-haired woman appeared, and, finally, she warns him that he won't escape and that he must surrender to her. Destination. The day of the admission exam at St. He's Academy has finally arrived. Upon arriving, Leon is immediately impressed by the grandeur of the place. In front of the entrance, he and Rosge become serious for a moment. The hunter then quietly provokes her about the stress therapy from the previous night. Annoyed, the colleague insults him in a discreet tone, but he simply laughs and tells her to come inside. Inside, they both observe the shields of the great families. Soon, a receptionist calls for Noah Cosmode of Melkaway from the Silver Dragon tribe. Next, the woman is surprised to confirm on the application form that the girl's age is only 1 year and 3 months. At this, Leon asks if there is a problem, but the receptionist responds that there is no problem, only slightly surprised. She explains that, although the minimum age is 1 year old, most dragon hatchlings enter between the ages of 4 and 6. Rosge then intervenes, stating that their daughter is very intelligent and that they respect her decision. With that, the official directs them to the family assessment on the 4th floor. Meanwhile, Noah goes to take his test. They arrive at the meeting room, located on the indicated floor. There, the couple sits on a sofa to wait alongside 3 other people. Quietly, Rosge wonders aloud if he thinks the others will be easy to deal with. Leon whispers that the others seem easy to defeat, and that, while Moen said that Dad had woken up, she simply responded that she already knew. With a smile, the Queen confirmed that he had finally, his previous self would defeat them in 50 moves. As the others notice their presence, he angrily mutters that he will go after everything, and they disapprove of Noah. Then, a man introduces himself as Vice Principal Walter Wilson, who is in charge of evaluating parents. They both respond with smiles, although the hunter suspects this evaluator might cause trouble. The vice principal begins by asking when their wedding anniversary is. Upon hearing this question, they exchange tense glances, as this was precisely the question they feared the most. In a flashback, Rosge's worries about how to answer, since they aren't actually married, and Leon suggests using a date that's significant to them. Then, she begins to recite the agreed-upon date, the year 1733, of the era of creation. Together, they answer with a smile that it was May 25th, the day they first met in the dungeon. The vice principal comments on how quickly they got married, and the pregnancy, and the hunter makes up a story about it being love at first sight. The evaluator then asks if they have discovered any flaws or bad habits in each other. To appear more convincing, Leon answers yes, while Rosgate says no, just as they had agreed upon. Pressured to speak, Leon begins to explain that sometimes he feels like he doesn't have much importance at home. Still, he continues to praise Rosgeis for being very efficient and taking care of everything with perfection. However, he admits that she is accumulating stress and wishes he could help more, ending with a mental plea for her to stop taking her frustrations out on him. Woken up, Moen then revealed that Mom must be happy since she visited him every day. Although the dragon confirmed the story, Leon thought that, during the interview, the lady asks the dragon what her husband's greatest charm is. Rosgeis then describes him as handsome, intelligent, and responsible, listing several of his qualities. He listens to everything with a strained smile, unsure if they are genuinely praising him or simply making fun of him. Then, she takes his hand and asks him not to push himself too hard. Shortly after, he squeezes her hand tightly, causing her a bit of pain. With this scene, the interviewers conclude that the two make a very loving couple. The interview continues in a pleasant atmosphere for everyone in the room. 2. Finally, the evaluator suggests they each ask one last question of the other. Rosge confidently states with a smile that she doesn't have any, as she already knows everything about his partner. Then, the interviewer turns to the hunter, who is trying to figure out how to quickly wrap up the evaluation. Leon surprises everyone by asking if she liked the teddy bear he gave her. The unexpected question leaves Rosgeis confused, not understanding why, and with a blushing face, she shyly admits, that she really liked the gift. Satisfied, he smiles and says he doesn't have any more questions. With that, the interviewer concludes the evaluation and thanks the couple for their cooperation. A few days later, a messenger dragon flies in through the window and announces that the message has arrived. Anxiously, everyone gathers around the table as Leon prepares to open the scroll. The letter reveals that Noah has passed the evaluation and is required to. Only an idiot would believe that. Then, she asked Moen to go play outside so that she could speak with her father alone. As soon as they were alone, appear for the admission ceremony. While the sisters celebrate her passing, the parents look at the result in surprise. Next, Noah hugs her sister, saying that she and their parents are amazing. Rosge thanks his partner, but he replies that it was nothing. Why? Because Noah did it all, and she is his daughter. With a smile, the woman announces a banquet and says that he will help so he doesn't feel useless, and by doing so, call her petty and spiteful. And so, the day of the entrance ceremony at St. Hiss Academy arrives. On stage, the headmaster welcomes the new students, congratulating them on their acceptance. Meanwhile, the audience, made up of families and current students, listens to the speech with attention. Soon, the headmaster announces that the top-ranked student, Noaka Melkavi, and her family will come up on stage. Excited, Men celebrates, knowing that his parents and his sister are about to give a speech. Following this, Leon, Rosgeis, and little Noah make their way to the stage. As they walk, the father, he recalls the events of an hour prior when he was informed about the unexpected speech. Now on stage, he resigns himself to dealing with the sudden situation. The director then asks the student if she has any advice or feelings she would like to share with everyone. Initially, the girl says that her mother, a powerful dragon, always supported her and inspired her to be strong. She then expresses her gratitude to her sister for always being there for her, which makes he asked if she was really his daughter, and the answer was yes. Biologically, with her tail hitting the door, the silver-haired woman stated with Moen very happy. Intrigued, the man wonders if his daughter will mention him in her speech as well. Finally, the young woman expresses her thanks to her father, who spent sleepless nights helping her with her studies. Hearing her words, he becomes visibly emotional. The speaker then concludes the speech with a simple expression of gratitude. Immediately afterward, the director suggests that Leon kiss Noah to demonstrate his fatherly love. Desperate, the man enters a state of panic, wondering if the director intends to turn the ceremony into his execution. In his mind, he remembers that just a month ago, the girl wouldn't even allow him to touch her. Whispering, he suggests that they could simply embrace to avoid making too much of a spectacle. However, the girl insists that he kiss her. Surprised by her response, the father is momentarily stunned as she insists, and then he kisses her on the forehead. In the audience, someone shouts that he wants to kiss his sister, but the maid stops him from going upstairs. Rosge, standing to the side, thinks with relief that it's a good thing the suggestion wasn't directed at her. With that, the director praises the Melkibes, commending them for demonstrating how a true family interacts. He then questions how Leon could possibly forget his wife after kissing his daughter. Annoyed, the man thinks that the director is overstepping and wishes he had confronted him during the evaluation, but looking at Noah, he concludes that he can't allow himself to be intimidated by something so trivial on such an important day. Then, Leon turns to Rosge with a smile, rage that he hated her. Leon stepped back, questioning why he had the girl and why she had saved him. The queen then explained that he reminds her that they are the most harmonious family. The wife whispers in disbelief, but he replies that he has no choice with their daughters watching them. Rosge. She wonders how her husband can remain so calm, as any display of affection makes her nervous. Putting her embarrassment aside, she decides to kiss him then and there, but he only gives her a quick peck on the cheek before immediately walking away. The unexpected gesture leaves her completely surprised and speechless. As she touches her cheek, she continues to process what just happened. Leon turns to the audience and expresses his gratitude, even though everyone is asking for another kiss. Whispering to Rosge, he admits that he now feels relieved. The woman realizes that she was used, and angrily thinks that she will make him pay if they weren't. In public, the director then thanks the family and dismisses them so they can rest. Outside, everyone says their goodbyes, and Rosge says goodbye to him. He tells his daughter that he will come to pick her up on the weekend. Embracing, Men asks her sister not to forget her, and Noah reassures her. Leon advises her to eat, study, and take care of herself, but the young woman replies that she is no longer a child. With that, he reveals that he was only repeating the advice that his wife was ashamed to say. In a more serious tone, the father instructs her to defend herself if anyone bullies her, assuring her that he will always support her. The girl asks if he ever did that, and Leon recounts that he always got hit by his grandfather when he fought, but he reassures her, saying that, unlike slept for 2 years and asked if he thought she would just leave everything as it was. Furious, he shouted that he never wanted to do that they could not coexist, and her grandfather, he won't hit her for such nonsense. Noah understands the lesson and clenches her fists, showing her determination. Later, in the office, from the queen of the Temple of the Silver Dragons, light illuminates the room. Meanwhile, Rosge reads about the blood spell, a forbidden magic, which sacrifices the life of the caster. After reflecting on it, he realizes that a small modification could transform the spell into a valuable resource. Suddenly, the door opens, and he is surprised to see that someone has already returned. Surly, his trusted maid, kneels and greets him as Your Majesty. The sovereign then asks about the investigation, and Surly regrets not having found the whereabouts of Tiger Lawrence and his wife. Upon questioning the disappearance, she hears that they covered their tracks very carefully. Given this, Rosge concludes that Leon's teacher does not seem to be a simple person. Farmer, as I was saying, for this reason, he orders the maid to continue the investigation and keep him informed of any new developments. Moments later, the hunter launches an attack while training with a staff. He encourages the little girl to attack with all her strength from below. The girl then performs several movements simultaneously, surprising her father. In the distance, Rosge observes the two training. As soon as she sees her mother, the girl calls out to her with great joy. The man then asks if she has finished patrolling, and she confirms that she has. Next, Rosge wonders that he would never touch her again under any other circumstances. She provoked him by asking if touching her was torture, and he confirmed that, of course, it was. Immediately, the daughter behaved well with her father, and the girl confirms that she was very obedient. Shortly after, she announces that they will have steak for dinner, and asks the girl to change her clothes. Of clothes first. Muen is overjoyed because she adores steak. The maid quickly takes her away to get ready, while the little girl happily sings about dinner as she leaves. After their daughter leaves, the queen turns to speak with her husband. Suddenly, he points the branch he was using for training directly at her face. She then asks if he has finally decided to attack her, reminding him that doing so would be treason. Leon replies that it's just a branch and questions whether she seriously calls that a weapon. Still, the woman retorts that in the hands of the strongest hunter, even that branch would be a deadly weapon. The man simply turns his face away and sighs in response. Then he asks her to give him genuine praise, without any sarcasm, but she denies him any praise. Admitting his intention, he says he only meant to frighten her, though Rosge doubts a branch could actually harm her in her current condition. In another moment, she mentions that Noah wrote a letter saying that everything is going well at the academy. Leon considers this insignificant, but his companion explains that it's already unusual for their daughter to write solely to reassure them. With that, he agrees, remarking that in that respect, the young woman greatly resembles her mother. Rosge looks at him with a serious expression, as if about to say something. She then comments that, despite his serious expression, he is a pleasant person, and that, touched his chin, he suggested that adding more scars would make him perfect. The hero then shouted at him to stop humiliating him and just kill him once and for all. Her tail coiled around his leg. With a tug, she knocked him backward onto the bed. As she immobilized him, he asked in fear what she intended to do. His daughter admires him greatly for his strength. She then explains that, in the girl's mind, he is like an exemplary student whom she needs to surpass at the academy. Leon smiles with relief, because until that moment, he had believed his daughter saw him as nothing more than a weak bookworm. Following this, Rosge reveals that Noah, she frequently visited him while he was unconscious, and he chuckles at her stubbornness. She then recalls that, when the daughters were babies, only their father was able to soothe them. The memory shows Leon sleeping peacefully with the two little girls beside him. Even so, he admits that the concept of blood ties still feels a bit foreign to him. He then remembers his childhood as an orphan, having never understood what a family was. At the age of 5, his teacher and his wife adopted him, treating him as their own son. For the first time, he grasped the idea of a home, but sometimes he felt a void when seeing other families. In the future, he too would become a father. She explained that these would be people to love and protect, a family united not only by blood ties. I remember, Leon reinforces his determination, understanding that they are his most precious family. Rosge snaps him out of his thoughts, telling him it's time to go home. He appreciates the information and suggests that they continue onward. Following this, the woman moves her foot towards her shoe, which is on the floor. Seeing his hesitation, she asks him to help her put on her shoes as a way to show her gratitude. Leon is completely confused by this. Without responding, the creature tore his shirt open in one swift motion. With a magic circle in his hand, it was revealed that he wanted to carve his own dragon symbol onto him, causing him to scream and struggle to stop it. Seeing his hesitation, she asks him to help her put on her shoes as a way to show her gratitude. Leon is completely confused by this unexpected request. Despite Rosge's insistence, Leon refuses to help her put on her shoes, complaining that it was already humiliating enough. Wash his feet, and that he has no intention of losing his dignity. The queen then kicks him in the face, reminding him that he still owes her the kiss from the ceremony. With firmness, she orders him to stop complaining and finish it quickly so they can leave. With no other option, Leon agrees to help her and begins to put the shoe on her foot. Rosge comments that her husband's body obeys quickly, but he grumbles that the task is difficult. The comparison infuriates his wife because of the comment. In an instant, she attacks him, attempting to knock him to the ground. Leon then starts to run, saying that he is not going to let himself be caught, but Rosge's. He angrily threatens him. Days later, Noah excitedly announces someone's arrival to her parents. Immediately, a huge dragon descends from the sky. In front of them, the hunter notices that the Leviathan dragon is much larger than Rosge's transformed state. And hello everyone, did you enjoy the story? I certainly loved it. If you want to see the next part, make sure to subscribe to the channel and leave a like on this video. She said that this would make him her prisoner and her greatest source of shame, as he would never be able to leave her side again. Then, she taunted him, asking what his fellow humans would think when they saw the dragon tattoo. As he felt the mark expanding, he questioned why she had to go to such extremes. The sovereign then approached, explaining that the dragon's concept of revenge was extreme and, frankly, inhumane. With that, she declared that she wanted him to live with that shame and be severely humiliated by her for all eternity. However, Leon felt something unexpected event as the mark was forming, since this was a great honor for the queen. So, she leaned over him and said it was time to begin her incredible revenge as a dragon. The scene opens in the grand castle of the Silver Dragon. There, two maids remark that the queen is in a good mood, because her husband has awakened from a coma he was hiding in. The dragon slayer overhears the conversation and becomes irritated upon hearing that he is this so-called husband. Then he remembers how the silver-haired woman squeezed him for an entire day and night, almost breaking his waist. With that, he firmly decides that he will not become her. Even so, the silver-haired woman proposed that he join the Silver Dragon clan. With a smile, the prisoner challenged her, asking if toy, and that he will escape. He soon observes the guards positioned at one of the castle gates. Thus, he realizes that it's impossible to get out that way, since 4 dragons guard the passage. Still, he finds the silence and lack of guards strange compared to what he remembers from 2 years ago. Back. Suddenly, something unexpected catches his attention on the other side of the wall. He quickly discovers a mysterious hole hidden amongst the grass. He wonders how it appeared. Looking inside, he suspects it might be a trap. Desperate, he ignores the risk and decides he will use the hole as his only way out. As he enters the tunnel, he says goodbye to the queen, telling her that she can keep little Muen. What he didn't know was that the girl was watching him from a distance with curiosity. The girl then excitedly points to her mother, saying that daddy is digging a hole like a dog. Nearby, the sovereign watches the scene and agrees that he is incredible. Then Moen asks when mom is going to catch him again. Given that, the woman explains that it is rude to use the word fish to refer to her father. Curious, the girl asks what word she should use instead. With a smile, the queen answers that the correct word is retrieve him. After a while, the fugitive continues running through the forest. As he runs, he thinks that he will soon reach human territory after crossing the mountains. Then he stops for a moment, believing he has already run far enough to throw her off his trail. She was worthy. The question caused the sovereign's eyes to fill with surprise and fury. In an instant, she attacked him with a blow that shattered the blast. However, his face fills with fear when he notices something approaching. Looking up, he shouts Rosgeis's name as he sees her flying in her true form. Dragon. She then congratulates him on being such an excellent runner, leaving him utterly terrified. Unexpectedly, its tail appears right in front of him. Then, the creature manifests itself and asks if it wouldn't be fun to play with him. The dragon is disappointed and reveals that he was the one who helped him escape by creating the hole for him. He then admits that he knew it was a trap, but he didn't expect it to catch up to him so quickly. The winged figure then asks if humans will still see him as a dragon slayer with that mark on his chest. He replies that he would rather start a new life as an ordinary person than be tortured by her. Annoyed, the dragon complains that he doesn't know how to appreciate her kindness and prepares to attack. In a quick movement, the Traptor, the beast grabs him with its enormous claw, leaving him terrified. As Rosge soars into the sky, he shouts, asking where she's taking him, and she replies that she will help him return. 3 hours later, the dragon flies through the night sky near the border town. Abruptly, the creature releases him, sending him into free, causing him to scream in a panic. Consequently, he crashes through the treetops due to the force of the fall. The rough landing causes him to slam hard against the forest floor. On the ground, he clutches his head and groans in pain. He quickly regains his composure and becomes alert. Looking ahead, the dragon, chains around him. After the blow, the hero fell, coughing, amidst the dust. Immediately, she immobilized him on the ground with her foot, questioning. Hunter is astonished to spot a brightly lit city in the distance. Bewildered, he wonders to himself if that is truly a human city. Behind him, the Silver appears in human form, confirming that this is indeed the human empire. She then asks him if, after seeing the lost city, he truly believes he can simply return. With a smile, she warns him that even though he is so close, he will not be able to return. Unexpectedly, the mark on his chest begins to shine with a purple light. Then, the woman reveals that when a person with the dragon mark feels an intense desire, the other person also reacts. She provokes him about the heat in his body, and he asks if she wants him to do it right there. In response, she confirms that she brought him there so that he would understand the shame in front of his hometown, while clutching his chest. He asks if she truly believes he will lose faith because of this. He immediately grabs her and swears, who will wait for an opportunity to return all the humiliation with double the intensity. The opponent's unexpected attitude leaves her utterly speechless. Completely speechless for a moment, she's surprised and simply feels a slight blush creep onto her face. Approaching her, he whispers that he will be waiting, dead or alive. Later, near the Empire's border city, the pair meet under a large tree. They embrace with a capno. With a smile of complete satisfaction, the woman rests next to her exhausted companion. Despite his fatigue, she says she is very satisfied with the divi ride.